What's going on, guys? My name is Steve. Thank you for stopping by my channel. Today we're going to be reacting to why 25 degrees really is hot in the UK. I came across this video when I was searching for videos specifically about the weather in the UK. And a few of the titles really jumped out and grabbed my attention. One of those titles was this one, why 25 degrees really is hot in the UK. And another title was talking about how London is actually entering a heat wave and expecting temperatures of up to 30 degrees. And when I first saw both these titles, I didn't know what 25 degrees or 30 degrees Celsius was when it was converted to Fahrenheit. So I went and checked out the conversion. It turns out that 30 degrees Celsius is 86 degrees Fahrenheit and 25 degrees Celsius is 77 degrees Fahrenheit. And honestly, 77 degrees, which would be the 25 degree Celsius temperature here, would be a very comfortable temperature here. It's probably what we usually expect in, early mid-spring and, maybe mid-fall. And 86 degrees Fahrenheit, which would be 30 degrees, is pretty much what we would expect as a low in the middle of the summer. Our average summer highs around here are probably up into the upper 90s or pushing 100 or so Fahrenheit. And so to see 86 degrees be considered a heat wave and seeing that 77 degrees would possibly be considered hot in the UK. This definitely has me interested in what the differences are and what we may be experiencing when we're talking about the same temperatures. Because like I said, 77 degrees here is actually not that bad. And we actually have pretty humid air here for a majority of the year. So I don't really understand what could be causing 77 degrees to feel hot, but I just thought this would be something interesting to dive in and check out, but don't really know what to expect here, guys. So let's just go ahead and find out why 25 degrees really is hot in the UK.
Now, with the continuing high temperatures in London,
Londoners are looking for relief from the stifling conditions.
Let's all hate it, the current heat wave doesn't come without problems.
When the UK struggles through a heat wave, temperatures over there can get as high as the mid-30s. For someone like me who deals with this weather for winter, that doesn't sound like much.
Right.
So do the Brits just need to toughen up? I mean, we've got roads melting here.
Yeah, we have this issue here too.
We're all used to different climates, yes, but there's more to it than that. For starters, a heat wave is relative. Basically, it's different depending on where you are. The World Meteorological Organization loosely defines it as more than 5 consecutive days of temperatures exceeding the average max by 5 degrees Celsius. So in the UK, it averages about 20 degrees over the summer months, whereas in Australia, it averages about 30 degrees. This means it doesn't take as high a temperature to trigger a heat wave in the UK. If we look at other cities, in Toronto, their summers are about 25 degrees. A heat wave there is 3 consecutive days over 32 degrees. And in India, with temperatures around 35 degrees, they wouldn't call a heat wave unless the air temperature reached at least 40 degrees in plains regions. So in Australia and other countries with high summer temperatures, our buildings are built to keep as cool as possible. The concept is nothing new. It's called vernacular architecture, where buildings are designed based on local needs, materials, and traditions. Take a look at this house. This is a Queenslander found in, Queensland. They're built out of timber and on stumps. The space underneath the house helps cool the building through ventilation. There's always a wide veranda for shading and protection from heavy rains, and
That's interesting. Yeah, a lot of our houses look very similar to this here in the US. We usually have a crawl space. A lot of the newer houses and subdivisions and stuff don't have crawl spaces, but if you look at most of the older houses have crawl spaces. I've always thought the crawl space was there so you could easily access plumbing if you needed to work on the plumbing or other, issues. It was very easy to get to, but maybe there's something to do with cooling during the summer. And also we tend to use wood for building our houses as well, have the overhangs and things like that. That's interesting.
a corrugated iron roof, which is lightweight and durable. And there are plenty of other examples of this type of building for your environment from around the world. This is a house from the Asir province of Saudi Arabia, where the temperature is moderate but it rains often. The protruding slates cascade rain away from the clay walls. In the Philippines, Bahay Kubo huts are built with bamboo, with sufficient ventilation for the hot summer, and raised above the ground to protect against torrential flooding. The igloos of the Inuits, rondavels in Africa, and gears in Mongolia. You get the idea. And along with this, there's plenty of other architectural choices made to respond to the environment. Our public spaces include plenty of shaded areas and sufficient ventilation. Not to mention, the majority of the population, about 85%, lives within 50 kilometres of the coastline, where all the major cities have developed.
Meaning that even in summer, we'd get a nice sea breeze to help cool down the hot air temperature.
But over on the other side of the world, it's not that easy.
Keep yourself cool, drink plenty of fluids, keep out of the direct sun in the heat of the day, and also keep your home as cool as you're able to by using curtains, keeping windows open at night and so on.
Did you notice something he didn't mention? Air conditioning is not really a thing in the UK.
Yeah, you guys have told me that.
Shopping centres are more likely to have them, but they're not a given the way they'd be here in Australia and other hotter climates. They're just not needed.
That's because, like how Australian houses are built to keep cool, in the UK and other colder climates, everything is designed to keep the heat in.
Wow.
There aren't many overhanging eaves or awnings or shaded outdoor areas, and most windows are double glazed so that the temperature inside buildings stays as warm as possible during cold
So
winters.
interesting.
Public transport is another big one. The tube is notorious for its lack of ventilation, which means the heat generated from the trains can't escape the underground system very easily. This is fine for an English summer most of the time, but as soon as the mercury starts rising, it becomes a bit unbearable. Rest assured, aircon is coming to the central line, but in 2030. So only a few years to go then.
This is all well and good for part of the year, but on the flip side, when it gets cold in Australia, you really feel it. Yes, even if you're from a place where sub-zero temperatures is normal.
Because the houses are designed to perform well in summer, buildings don't really retain much heat.
That's so
Even though
true
the
here
winter months
too.
aren't as cold, with averages of about 5 degrees, most houses aren't properly insulated. The large eaves that give you welcome shade in the summer stops that same sunshine from entering in the winter.
Yep.
And of course, the British homes which heat up during the summer stay nice and warm during the cold winter months.
So the actual infrastructure
interesting,
of the
man.
city can help the temperature feel hotter or cooler than it actually is.
You know, I personally don't like to keep it hot indoors, summer or winter. We pretty much keep it like mid 60s in here year round. Obviously, that means that your air conditioning bill is going to go way up during the summer, but or your electric bill. But during the winter, because we don't run the heat as much as a lot of people probably would, we actually, it goes down in the winter.
But depending on how long we've lived in a city, our physiology can also affect the way we react to certain temperatures. It's called acclimatization, and it's our body's long-term response to extreme temperatures.
So it's not just about sweating when it's hot. It's how our bodies decide when we sweat, how much we sweat, our tendency to sweat, and even the amount of salt in our sweat. It only takes about 2 weeks for a healthy body to acclimatize, depending on different factors, and it's faster to adapt to heat than to cold.
If you're used to a certain range of temperatures, anything outside of that range would feel uncomfortable to you. So both acclimatization and our city's infrastructure affects the way we feel temperature. And while we might think we're good at certain extremes, we could be proven otherwise. So next time you see this...
Brits, England's in the grip of a deadly heat wave. Where's it? Like hell summer. Brits told to stay inside amid 32 degree heat wave. 32 degrees. Well, I got here 33 is 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So that means that's like upper 80s, I think. So yeah, like on paper, it doesn't seem that hot.
Or this. Maybe don't be so quick to judge. I'll put some links down below.
Okay, so this was interesting. Basically, it just goes to show that wherever we live, we are basically ourselves and our infrastructure are built for that local climate. So when you're looking at the temperatures on paper from outside that climate, things can feel very different, actually, where they're, in the location that you're talking about versus what you may think they would feel like, if that makes sense. But I think the main thing that I got from this video is that the houses in the UK are built to retain heat, while now I realize that that's really what's going on here in the US a lot of time with all the wood being used for houses instead of stone and whatnot. You guys in the UK don't really have as many trees available to build wooden houses anyway, even if you wanted to. Plus, the way you build your houses with stone and brick probably do a much better job of retaining the heat during the colder months. While here in the US, we have crazy amounts of wood, crazy amounts of forest, and it's very easy to, it's much cheaper to get wood to build houses with. And that combined with our crawl spaces probably keep it much cooler, which is what we're more concerned with than you guys would be in the UK. It makes a lot of sense. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Please click that like button. Feel free to drop your comments or suggestions about this video or others. And don't forget to subscribe to continue to follow me on my journey to discover my British and Irish ancestry. Till next time, guys, peace.